Hey guys, it's Vel here, and today I would like to... No, I don't really want to do it like that. Okay, ready? Ready? Steady. Spaghetti. Hey guys, Vel and Smalley here, and I want to make you guys a video to show you the different ways that you can craft your gear for the explosive concoction builds. So I'm going to start off with the helmet, which I think is a really easy piece of gear to craft. You basically just need a warlord helmet. How you get that is up to you, and it has to be eye level 86 because that is the item level that we need to get nearby enemies have -9 to fire res. So in my case, I like to buy the enchant basic helmet with nothing else because it's very cheap. Nobody cares about explosive concoction. It's fantastic. And Warlord Exalts are also very cheap right now. They're like 69 Chaos a Warlord Exalt. Either way, if you want to run lab to get your enchant and already use Warlord Helm, it's entirely up to you. So I'm gonna slam this bad boy right here, right now. And I got nothing. It doesn't matter. Now, if you're making this helmet from scratch and not buying it, you probably want to get yourself some perfect fossils and use primitive chaotic resonators to try to hit that 30% quality. However, like you could still use, oh, okay. Well, okay, I just hit it right there. And I'm telling you, it doesn't always work out like that. And why I was going to say that you can use Betrayal and get 28 quality with Hillock instead and just skip all of this extra money and steps if you want to. All right, this helmet is obviously blessed. Okay, and now there are a few ways to go for the fire. You could go the fossil route. It depends on how cheap they are and what you are spec'd into on your Atlas tree. And I already have, you would need pristine fossils and scorch fossils. So I already have some loaded up here from this last fun attempt that I was working on. So if I just start rolling into it, as you can see, sometimes you get like, oh wow, that's pretty good life and fire res, but nothing else, you know? Oh wow, oh wow. Oh wow. So this is kind of how the fossil crafting goes. It's not a guarantee on your fire roll. Okay, so I got one there, but obviously it's not very good because that life roll is terrible. Okay, and that suffix as well, that regen, awful. So the only way that we could potentially save this is there a way to save this? Honestly, I don't know if there's a way to save this. This is the kind of thing I would annul and pray. And it took the wrong thing, and at this point, I would completely just roll over it. But out of doing all of this, it has a pretty low weight, the -9. So an actual better way to roll it, if you are spec'd into it and don't mind, is to go to the harvest station and look for Reforge with Fire More Common. All right, Fire More Common is the name of the game. You do a lot of Fire More Common. Generally, this is the way I got this one. It did not take me that long. I unfortunately it's full of good stuff, so I couldn't save up that many to show off in this example. Ooh, elemental damage tier 1. Too bad it doesn't have anything else worthwhile, but this is another way that you can go about getting your -9 and get yourself a helmet that looks something like this. I got very lucky with the physical damage taken as extra fire damage. That was just a bonus. And to be honest, the -9 is super nice, but it is not like end all be all. You can still clear all content without it. It's just any way to push your damage a little further. I often, this way, end up making things that are really good for other people. So it's a great way to make some items and sell them off and then still make your item. Okay, this is highly unfair. You know, it's giving me a lot of extra life and fizzes fire. But that's just, yeah. That's the way the cookie crumbles when it comes to anything that has to do with resonators and fossils. Fossil crafting, you will get it. Sometimes you get it in like 1 fossil. Sometimes you get it in 5 exalt worth of fossils. So I strongly recommend the best way to do it, again, is to go through the hoarder crafting station, spec into harvest over here, Oh wait, spec into harvest. Spec into harvest over here. And over here. You can also go to the trade site and, for example, to really make sure that you get fire, you can do plants. Wait, that's not how you spell plant. You can do plants. Harvest an area contains at least one crop of plants. Pick purple because fire is always on purple. And they're nothing because nobody cares about purple plants. So it's pretty good, pretty cheap, worthwhile to do it this route. Okay, time for the gloves. The gloves are gonna look a little something like this. I know these gloves look wild. They look crazy. They're ridiculous. Honestly, the spell suppression was just an extra bonus. But these gloves were insanely easy to make. So I have a pair of dragon scale gauntlets because I like armor and evasion. I use both. It's really nice to have both. Again, you can hit this. Okay, I got 29%. All of my perfect fossils right now seem to be working out. So, I mean, there we go. So I hit the perfect fossil, and now I have these deafening essences of zeal. And what I'm looking for is on gloves, 17 to 18% attack speed. Attack speed is the name of the game with these. Attack speed is the name of the game with this build. So I'm going to hit it up. It's not very good. I'm going to hit it again. Okay, that looks more interesting. I definitely like cold and fire. In this case, I have one cold res. It's pretty nice. I like 2 reses over 1. I didn't actually need the spell suppression on these gloves. I just happened to get spell suppression on the gloves. So this is reasonable. If you're like me, you may want to roll past it to get a better fire roll. But just for the example of these gloves, I'm going to move on and say this is good enough. This will do. So now this is where the fun part comes in. What do we want on these? Inflict exposure on hit, fire, and intimidate. So we want to keep our suffixes, which are okay. And we want to modify our prefixes. So what I'm going to do is, let me take a look at which one this is. So we want Searing Exarch to be dominant. So I'm going to slap a Searing Exarch on this bad boy. And I'm going to hit this with an Eldritch Chaos. Now, as you can see, all of my attack speed, my fire, my cold, it remained the same. So this way, I rolled into the amount of life that I wanted. Oh, man, if that was like T3, I would have taken it. I would have taken it. And what you could do is there are also Eldritch Annuls. For example, if I don't like what I have on one of these prefixes, I could try to annul it, still leaving the suffixes intact. So it is completely 5. Okay, dude. This is a very, very rude. You know, you get very lucky with the quality, and then you get 5 life. I shouldn't roll anymore. I'm not rolling anymore. I'm done rolling. I'm done rolling. Rolling is over. Damn, T1, that's really good. Okay, so basically what I did to get into my roll of life, since there aren't actually a crazy amount of rolls on gloves, like you have, of course, your damages to attacks, you can actually roll into life pretty easy. So I use these Eldritch Chaos to roll in, keep my attack speed and my res the same as it was, and then still had an open prefix to put on damage while leeching. And then I slammed it for fun with an Exalt Orb, and that's when I got the suppressed spell damage. If you want, you can roll attack speed and spell suppression with the Deafening Zeal first, then still lock your suffixes with a Searing Exarch implicit and roll your prefixes with the Eldritch Chaos. Now, you can also just try to find and buy these gloves and save yourself a lot of time and effort and all of that. It's not a bad idea. Oh, my mouse is a little broken. It's not a bad idea. I mean, they cost about an Exalt. You'll probably waste less money, but like, will they be perfect? Will they be what you want? Who knows? They may not. And then after that, you just roll with Grand Eldritch Ichors and Grand Eldritch Embers to get your -13 and your Intimidate. Honestly, the Intimidate, you could just use greater Searing Exarchs and you would get 100% Intimidate chance with the way that explosive concoction overlaps. So that's really good. Okay, for the boots, now this one I honestly recommend just buying I honestly just recommend buying it and paying the 2 Exalt to lock your suffixes and then just rolling with a Veiled Chaos. That's exactly what I did with these boots here. I got lucky and hit the life. That was something I was going to craft on. And the Veiled Chaos gave me the 30 move speed and 12 move speed if you haven't been hit recently. So I ended up looking for boots that have about, 88 elemental resist, spell suppression on them, and an empty prefix modifier. That's all I was looking for. Now, I'm going to show you searches that are going to be like a month ago, 2 months ago, a month, etc. I'm going to try to go down the list. Like we have one guy 2 days ago. This guy's perfect. He's exactly the target boots that we're looking for, right? Something like T2, T2, T1 spell suppress. And of course, before you have that 2x, you can always just use Adziri's steps for a long time. Those are very good boots. I highly recommend them. Personally, I would buy these bad boys, but that guy's a month old. So if we're looking, let's just see if there's any online boys right now since we're at the end of the league. So even online, we have an open suffix or an open prefix. So what we can do is go to the bench, throw on suffixes can't be changed. Suffixes can't be changed as a prefix. Prefixes can't be changed as a suffix. That's the way they get you. And then take 1 Veiled Chaos and roll over it. Let me do this with, where are these boots right now? Let me buy these boots and make it happen. Who's the guy? I mean, these are a little more expensive, but we saw the end of league. We know how these things go. So let's see if this guy's got what we want. Now, this is the way I would honestly normally do it. He does. Because you can go for crafting it, and that's fine and good, and you can do the same method that I did with the gloves and use like a really cheap essence. Like one of the, like you could use the fire, the cold, the lightning res essences until you roll into the other res and the spell suppression and then do the lock. But it's just so much cheaper to do it this way. So you got these boots. Yeah, they look sick. You know, it's really sad to lose that evasion, but that's fine. We're going to throw them in here. We're going to do suffixes, can't be changed. Nice. And we're going to hit it with one of these. Bam! What did we get? Ooh, we got T1 evasion and stun and block. Not really something we need, but it ain't that bad. And now we go over to Jun. Hit it with this. Move speed and onslaught. Easy clap. Easy boots. Now we can just throw on some life. Call those boots a day. If you don't like the roll that you get and still have an open prefix, you can always just lock and roll again, or just use what you have for now until you have the 2x. That definitely works. And in this manner, you can always just craft it up like... Okay, these ones happen to work out really well, but I'm in the sense that you can definitely hit them up, craft it like this until you get your double res and your spell suppress, and go that route. It would be completely acceptable, might even be slightly cheaper, but I think the best way is to just buy it and go. And then again, when it comes to getting the avoid ailments and action speed, that's just throwing on more greater Grand Ichors and Grand Eldritch. I think in my case, yeah, I have exceptional for avoid elemental ailments, and I did that by adding on a conflict orb and watching it upgrade. I was concerned, but it ended up hitting, and if it didn't, I was okay with going back and using Grand Eldritch to get back my other avoid elemental ailments. Okay, the belt. Belt's an easy one, super easy. It's like, I didn't even grab the stuff for it because it's so easy. So my belt, I mean, it looks pretty pog, right? It's got attack speed, elemental damage, projectile attack damage, and life. These are really, actually, I'm not even looking for the attack speed. That was just a bonus. My big thing that I'm looking for here is projectile attack damage, elemental damage, and the life. I really want a percent life, but I wasn't willing to. The regen is also just a bonus. So what I ended up doing is grabbing myself some attack serrateds, because the elemental damage with attack is an attack, the projectile damage is an attack, and some pristine fossils. And that's basically the way that I rolled this belt. It has to be an elder belt to get the projectile, and plus the elder belt gives you the percent life as well, you know, the dream, really. So I just load these bad boys up with fossils. I have this weird belief that if you just spend a lot of like excessive fossils, that the game will be good to you and give you the roll you're looking for in 2 and make you like just waste money. Now, I don't know if that's true. It's probably just a complete lie, but it feels like the way it works. Every time I load up, I usually end up, it's just not worth. So let's see. We're gonna slam this. Okay. See what I mean? We immediately get attack speed, projectile damage, elemental damage. The attributes is good, but it's not for us, right? And it doesn't have life, and you know, it's all in all, it's actually really nice. Not something we need, but again, this is something you just keep rolling. You keep rolling until you have what you're looking for, right? And now I probably could have put life on that bad boy and just sold it. And that's what I mean by you can make so much money with the duds that you end up making. It's not for you, but somebody else will love it. Absolutely love it. 6% chance for your flasks you use to not consume charges. Well, I mean, that only works for these 2 flasks, but it's still nice. Still not what we're looking for. Ideally, we'd also like to do flask charges, but that's like a basic mod that we can't target, so it's not exactly worth it. So it might take you a few fossils to get this done, but fortunately, pristines are pretty cheap, serrateds are pretty cheap, and don't worry if it's one of those goals. Like, I think it took me maybe an exalt in fossils to get this roll, plus the belt itself. And as you saw, like my first roll, I rolled over something really good. So I do believe you can get that easy clap. So for my rings, honestly, you can go ahead and just buy yourself a ring like this that has good life and has an open prefix and suffix. Honestly, you don't even need the open suffix particularly on the ring, but you do have to add aspect of the spider somewhere, and the ring's a really good choice for that. And you want the open prefix to give yourself a minus to non-channeling skills, because it just feels comfier to have that minus. So as you see right now online, this guy's like a month old, okay? It's not even a very good ring, but it's 10C, 12C, very cheap rings, very easy to find. You look here, suffixes, you want 1 empty suffix modifier, 1 empty prefix modifier, and elemental damage. I don't know why that's there. So if you're more of an SSFer, you can get yourself a fractured base, or you can slam together 2 fossils, pristine and either aberrant, or pristine and elemental, whichever one you need more. Personally, I went with the chaos because I actually needed some chaos res. Hey, Smalley. So that is what I went for, and I just single slammed until I got what I want. Now, aberrants are really cheap, and same with the single resonators, so it is not too expensive to end up making this at all. But again, you can just buy it for like 10C if you want. The amulet is a tricky one. So ideally, you're going to be wearing your Ashes of the Stars until you make yourself a +1/+1 amulet. Now, unfortunately, with the way that they changed the +1/+1, you can have only one of the elemental +1s, either fire, lightning, or cold. You can't have fire, cold, fire, lightning, etc. And +1 to all skill gems. Nice thing about explosive concoction is that it has every single tag. So I think the easiest way to end up making this, if again you're into the SSF lifestyle, is to get yourself one of the fractures. In my case, I have myself fractured all lightning. You can get fractured all cold or all fire. Any one of them works. The base of a fractured all lightning, that's eye level 83. It doesn't even have to be amber, just happens to be. Very cheap, very cheap. 20, 40C, no problem. However, this is where it gets tricky. Because the all skills is a really low weight, and it's another gem modifier, which means 2 prefixes, you'll generally just have to roll this with either the faceted fossils, which unfortunately at this point in the league are pretty expensive. Which unfortunately are pretty expensive, or you can just straight up chaos roll it, right? If I use 1 faceted, it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to get the gem roll. So it can just roll something like this. And then I just threw down, how many? 75 chaos on that 1 roll, which is a lot. So you can always do it the way that I did it if you're not in the SSF life, and just buy that bad boy. And when I say buy it, I ended up going for +1 colds, +1 all skill gems, 25 exalt. Let's look at all of them online. Okay. If you do this in the beginning of the league, much easier to get your hands on it for obvious reasons. But as you see, we have a +1/+1 right here, and this guy has armor, totally acceptable, no problem. Because we can still craft on whatever we want for suffixes and lock our prefixes and stay safe. So for my particular necklace, I ended up paying 10x and buying a +1/+1 with only that on it. And then I crafted my multi-mod, crafted prefixes can't be changed, and slammed it with chaos more common on harvest. And I just happened to be fortunate to get T1 chaos, because of course chaos is really nice, but honestly you can have whatever you want here. So last but not least, we have the shields. Now I'm going to be completely honest with you. The +2 to socket support gems, you don't need this. This is for the very end game. And I rocked a 80 chaos shield for the majority of the game until I decided to get a little wild. I don't recommend making the shields. I think that this shield would be a real pain to make. However, you could absolutely, again, craft it with pristine and prismatic fossils, because the avoid elemental ailments is a elemental. If you're doing the SSF life, then crafting with ROG or crafting with fossils is going to be the best way. You get your T1 ailments, your spell suppress, and your life. But if you're not SSF life, just buy that bad boy. Look at these. Look at these right now. Okay, now this is 2 months old. We got a 10, we got a 40, and then they're about an exalt, 1.6 exalt. Technically, you don't need the open prefix. Again, that was just for some shenanigans that I was messing around with in the later game. Just because I could, you know what I mean. So right now, you can already get yourself some pretty good shields. 3x. I like this shield, actually. Why does he have energy shield on it? I don't know. I mean, I guess. It's not that bad. Either way, I would strongly recommend that you go buy the shield. If you do want to craft it, get yourself an eye level 86 elegant round shield, because it is both armor evasion and, again, Rogert or the fossils are going to be your best bet. So that is how you craft up all the gear for the explosive concoction. If you have any questions, definitely you can comment below. You can always come to the stream at twitch.tv/Velyna and ask directly in there and check it out when I'm streaming. And I hope to see you guys later.